Well, the lyrical themes behind the songs, you have obviously you have Master Plan and One Nation Enslaved. Maybe talk a bit about those two singles and the concept, with the lyrics behind them.
Go ahead, Douglas.
Um, yeah, well,
Douglas is the writer of the lyrics.
I mean, we kind of, when I approach all this stuff, I mean, I've been writing the lyrics, which is kind of interesting. I don't usually write lyrics, but what interests me are thoughtful and thought-provoking lyrics. Like if a lot of bands have really interesting lyrical concepts, it's not always about just continual bludgeoning of multiple victims and savagery and all that. I mean, we all have been there. We've all done a lot of that, but that kind of gets to the point of where it's sort of been done a little bit. And so, like the idea of getting it pissed off and annoyed with all the conspiracy theories that came about with like we had the COVID thing and everybody was suffering and couldn't go out or go to work, and everybody, they closed everything down. And then there was like the vaccination stuff, and everybody's sitting around trying to figure out what's going on. So what do? They go to YouTube and then they start trying to figure out. They seem to think that they've got it figured out.
Yeah.
And next thing you know is you get everybody wearing lab coats, and they're like farmers and just people that aren't really, from the medical industry at all. And they're out there talking about, like all these bizarre remedies and home remedies for this and that, and how the vaccines, the delivery system, the mRNA delivery system is evil, and they don't understand that it's a delivery system, and they don't understand anything except for what. I mean, they all agree with each other because it's really easy just to get excited and say, "Oh yeah, that's what it is." So anyway, back to the reality of the master plan thing. This is a big parody of all those kind of people. So I kept thinking, well, what's one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard about in terms of conspiracy theories? I mean, there's some actually really interesting ones that warrant some that I still have a lot of questions about. Like the 9/11 stuff's pretty interesting. That's not what I'm talking about with in the lyrics of the master plan. The master plan one is one of those awesome discussions about like chemtrails, and they're poisoning the earth, and they're what are they doing? They're changing the
weather manipulation,
all this stuff. So I just said, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just take it as hard as we can.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of people in the world, and a lot of people seem to think that we need even more. So but I would digress if I went down that one. But there's way too many people. 8 billion people is way too many, and so there's already trouble with water and making sure people are fed and so on. And if we had 4 billion people, it would be a little bit better. So the idea was okay, well, the chemtrails are filled up with chemicals, and what are they? They're sterilization chemicals that make it so that we can't breed temporarily, so we can get everything under control. It's all bullshit. It's all based on nothing more than science fiction, but there it is. Yeah. And it's just a parody of the conspiracy theory involving chemtrails. So that's all.
So basically, what we're doing is we're taking what's happening in life, and without picking sides, and just putting it out there, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
But we're not trying to pick sides because we're not political people, and that's how we stay. That's how we stay friends.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I would look at it like there's been in the last 20 years, there's a lot of reasons for all this, but there's just been so much the psychological advantages of spreading hate. It's far easier to outweigh the psychological advantages of spreading, good vibe stuff or happiness or love even. It's like don't be
afraid to use the L word, buddy. Love.
Whatever. It's the opposite of hate. That's all I'm doing. I'm going for opposites at that point.
100%.
But the thing is, and in this environment, we've got all this propaganda all over us. And it's pushing these narratives that are, half of them are founded in bullshit, and some of them are founded in like just taking care of people and not really trying to be selfish, and all this. And that's what led up to the lyrics for One Nation Enslaved, because there's a lot of pushing for the one side, and the other side is wanting to kill the opposite side, and the
Yeah.
hatred narrative is pushed so hard that everybody wants to kill your neighbor. And is that like, really, is that really necessary? And all we would have to do is, like, hey man, you need your lawn mowed, like, let's work out a deal where we can borrow tools or something and help each other and be cool. But no, it's way too easier to say something, formulate some false narrative and then have everybody jump on the bandwagon. So, the first verse of that song has to do with, like, all the accusations of voter manipulation, which, if you get into it, you can see that there's manipulation of voting in many countries all over the world for years and years and years. And so it's not taking a side, it's just simply pointing out how it can happen and what goes on,
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
honestly-
and I think part of that too, that divide, people want to believe in something and they don't want to find information that might refute that, because they might feel that they lose some power in their life. So they'll believe something blindly without even
looking it up.
Even with proof in front of them that it doesn't exist or that belief is false, they will still believe it.
Because they feel like they need to be a part of something. Every human being on planet Earth we're humans, we need to be a part of something.
Sure.
We need purpose. Without purpose, we're lost.
Yep.
So it gives these people something to grab onto and become a part of. You know what I mean? And I get that. It's religion. It's all of it. It's exactly what it is. So, I just wish that people would
be more tolerant,
more open mind, and just
tolerant, open-minded. It would really help.
Lean toward the positive. Lean toward the positive, please. It's so much better, But who are we to say? We're just writing lyrics and put it out there without picking sides. That's it.
Yeah.
Period.
Hey everybody, Tony here from the Metal Command podcast. Again, I appreciate your support. Since 1998, I have hosted this show in one form or another, starting off in radio and now in the podcast format. Again, thanks for watching. And if you like what you see and hear on this show, by all means, please hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified anytime I do post a video. And if you see this program on any other form of social media, please give me a follow there. Again, I always appreciate your support.